Hi, Chris Johnson, CEO of the Urban Taskforce. Just continuing our series on our Urban Ideas magazines. This is a magazine that is called Creating Communities Conference. It picks up a conference we had this year that looked at the whole issue of how to create a community, not just buildings. So I'm going to go through this. Lots of images of all the people at the conference. We had over 300 people. It was a very lively issue, but here are the key people I want to talk about. So the first one is Gordon Adams. Gordon Adams is the head of planning for the Battersea Power Station project in London. It's a very interesting project. This is Gordon himself. Here are some images showing this actual project. It has 4,239 homes, plus 600 affordable homes, 1.3 million square feet of retail, food, leisure, 1.65 million square feet of office space, hotel, theatre, health and cinemas, plus 19.2 acres of open space. So what we're trying to show here is that this is a precinct-wide development that is full of lots of interesting mixed-use facilities. People live here, work here, recreate, they shop there, and there are gardens for them as well. The next person who spoke at our conference is Marianne Kwok. Here's her image. Marianne is a leader at Cone Peterson Fox Architects, who was a design director for a major project called the Hudson Yards in New York. Very big project. You can see from these images the heights of the towers, dramatic buildings filling up part of the New York Peninsula. It has 4,000 residences, 3 parks, a school, a hotel, 1 million square feet of retail and office space as well. So again, this is a mixed-use development, lots of activities. You can live here, you can work here, you can recreate, you can shop here, you can catch the metro rail, that subway that goes through into the rest of New York. So another spectacular project, this time from New York. The next project we want to look at is by Raul Natal. Raul is the design director of Sistri in Singapore. It's an offshoot of Urbis, the Australian organisation. But Raul has been involved in quite a few projects, and the one I'm going to show here is one he's done in Kuala Lumpur. It's a transit-oriented development where there's rail adjacent to this whole site. And he's developed up a project that will take a fairly decaying part of the riverfront and turn into a vibrant, lively, dynamic space. So you can see from these images looking down on the whole site how this is going to change dramatically. A photograph of what it looks like at the moment, and you can see that this is a big change from what's happening there right now. We also had a number of Sydney projects that we looked at. Melrose Park in Sydney by Pace, and here's Dominic Sullivan, the director of Pace, who presented the plan for the urban renewal of this quite dynamic site, 30 hectares. It's going to have 6,000 new apartments, a retail town centre, community facilities, parklands, 1,500 full-time commercial jobs. And you can see from the images just how this is going to develop, a very bustling, dynamic place, but with gardens and parks, coffee shops as part of it. Another Sydney project is Ivanhoe. We had 2 younger people from Frasers presenting this, Sasha Kovic and Scott Clohessy, development managers for Frasers. And they explained the project at Ivanhoe. It's a site that's taking some existing social housing and rebuilding the site to have a mixture of social and market housing. So 950 social homes will be in this whole project, 128 affordable, but also 2,000 market homes. So it's a good mixture of different types of people living there. There's a high-rise school as part of the whole project. There's significant parklands. There's a metro rail station nearby. And as you can see from these images, it's going to be a very bustling urban development. But the important thing from the message I'm trying to get across is about mixed use. It's not just one single use. On the edge of Sydney, a slightly different project that Stocklands are doing. Sophie Pickett-Heaps, co-head of design at Stocklands, looks at Willowdale. Willowdale is a more suburban, low-rise site, 350 hectares, approximately 3,400 new homes, 315 medium density, but it's also got shops and retail and parklands and community facilities as part of it. We've also got Darling Square in Sydney, right near the CBD. Neil Arkless, the project director for Lend-Lease, explained this project. 1,500 apartments, 26,000 square metres of office space, 12,000 square metres of retail, 1,300 bed student accommodation, 590 room luxury hotel, and an incredible building called the Exchange, a circular building with timber wrapped around it by a Japanese architect called Kengo Kuma, which is the community centre. It's got childcare facilities, rooftop garden, and a very dynamic centre. So a really interesting, very urban, mixed-use development as part of Sydney. And the last project we presented at this conference, Fabrizio Borelli, Chief Executive Officer of Toga, demonstrated a mid-rise project in Surrey Hills, 150 new homes, retail outlets, restaurants and parklands, quite a trendy sort of area, buildings of 6 to 8 stories high, as you can see in these images here. But again, mixed use, bustling, lively, urbane product of the design for this project. So what we're trying to say here is if we get mixed use developments, it'll be dynamic, it'll be interesting, and people will have a great time living in these areas.